Your income alone will never make you wealthy. An important concept that I learned a couple years ago that I continue to learn is income is not wealth. And what I mean by that is most people live paycheck to paycheck if their earned income, their job, is their only source of income. And even people at very high earners, multiple six figures, 150, 200,000, quarter million, people who earn a lot of money but don't use it wisely and don't put it into investments that can pay them when they're not working are a lot of times still living paycheck to paycheck. So your earned income is not going to make you wealthy. Earned income is not wealth because you only get paid for the hours that you work. And if you, for any reason, don't have that source of income anymore, your income totally stops. And wealth is built by having assets that grow in value and can pay you while you're sleeping. Um, and that's really the way to earn, like that's where wealth comes in. That's how to earn wealth. And the thing is that you have to have an income to invest in assets that will make you wealthy. But if all you have is an earned income and you don't utilize it to the best of its own ability, to the best of putting it into different assets or businesses or whatever, then you're not going to become wealthy. It's not possible. And yeah, it's you're not going to become wealthy. You can save the money and you can put it into a high yield savings account, but that's not really wealth because those things don't return anywhere near as much as what the market does or what an asset can do. Now they are safe, but the other thing is that if you if you earn a lot of money and you are very strict with your spending and you don't spend a lot of money, then you can build a nice nest egg and you can build savings. But the idea of wealth is that having an asset that pays you when you're not working. That's what wealth is. And to become wealthy, you have to have some level of ownership in something, and that doesn't have to be stocks or index funds or anything like that. It can be owning a small business. It can be investing into something. You could be a partner in a business. You could be a partner in so many different things where you don't have to do everything for the business. You could be a silent partner. You could be an investor. And if you own a piece of something and it grows and it outperforms, then you will build wealth. But if you only have your earned income, your job income, your salary, whatever it is, your wages, then you're not really going to build wealth. And a big reason for that is that most people, as they start to earn more, they lifestyle creep along with their earnings, and then they realize that they're essentially broke because they don't have enough saved up to sustain the lifestyle. And if their income goes away, then they're in a bad spot. So it's important to understand that the first step is to have an income or a salary of some type, and then to use the disposable income that you have to put into assets and businesses that can grow for you, right? Anything that's going to grow, anything that doesn't require additional time from you, and to do that over a long period of time. And the other important factor there is that you can't be paycheck to paycheck if you're doing that, because if you are, then you have no money left over. So the gap between income and expenses is the number that really matters. Most people, as their income goes up, their expenses go up. But if your income goes up and your expenses stay the same, then that additional amount of money can be utilized to grow something on the side or in the background that can make you wealthy one day. And wealthy doesn't have to be millions of dollars. Wealthy essentially is, you can define it however you want to define it, but I would say that an individual is wealthy if they have enough assets to offset their earned income to sustain their lifestyle for 5 years, let's say. If you didn't have your earned income, but you could live off of assets for 5 years without earning another dollar, I'd say that makes you wealthy. And that's just my definition. That's my goal. But you can come up with your own. But the main thing is that wealth is having something that pays you when you're sleeping. Wealth is having something that grows without your active involvement in it. So that gap between what you earn and what your expenses are is the biggest number. It's the most important thing. And the way to do that is the basic way to do it is to keep your expenses as low as possible and to increase your income, right? You want to do both of those things, and then to invest the difference. Somebody who's making $60,000 or $70,000 a year who invests $500, $700 a month is in a much better position than someone who's making $150,000 a year and they barely have a couple $100 at the end of the month for themselves, or not for themselves, but like a couple $100 to invest. Or let's say like they just blow through all their stuff, or they have debt that they don't pay off every month and it's accruing interest. The former, even though they have a lower salary, is in a much better position, especially if you push that out 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, even 2 or 3 years. It can compound very quickly. So the way to build the wealth is to keep expenses as low as possible, increase your income as much as possible, and then invest as much of the difference as you can. It doesn't mean that you have to live, very, very like a monk and not do anything to enjoy yourself. It just means you have to control where the money's going and keeping a chunk of it to put into assets. So the last thing I'll say is that your job is a starting point. As I mentioned, it's not the destination. It's good to build a career. It's good to do big things and to advance in your career and develop skills and do the things that you want to do and work on great products and services and work on a mission that you enjoy or work within a brand that you enjoy and believe in. But don't let it be the destination. It's a starting point. Use it to put the money into other places that will help you, that will grow over time, that will put you in a better position financially so that you can enjoy your life. And you can also, even before enjoying your life, the main thing I think is that you should use the money in a way that it reduces the stress of your life. Most people's, I think, biggest concern nowadays is financial stress, financial hardship, financial stress, because you can't really live in today's world without money, without wealth. So if you can take that stress off your mind, then you allow your mind to be opened up and much more relaxed to do so many other things. So use the job as a starting point. Use the salary as a starting point. Use it as fuel to buy into assets, to buy a piece of something that can work while you're sleeping. And if you do that over a long enough period of time, you can set yourself up to be very financially secure and in a much, much better spot for the future and, for yourself and for your family. And there's so many different ways to do it. It could be investing in different stocks and index funds, in real estate. It could be partnership in a business. It could be a cash flowing business. A lot of people like to talk about that. It can be so many different things. So I think it's important to find something that works for you. It could also be buying art. A lot of people will do that. But find something that works for you. Find an asset that you like. Keep your expenses down. Try to increase your income. Invest the difference as much as you can. And don't fall into the trap of, feeling super secure with your job forever. Because we live in a time now where I don't know if this happened as much in the 60s and 70s and 80s. I don't think it did. But we live in a time now where layoffs are a normal thing. And your job can essentially slip out from under you at any moment. So don't let yourself slip and think that a job is going to last forever. And, while you're working and while you have an income, be smart with the money, sacrifice a little bit and put it into places that are going to make your life easier. The best time to fix a roof is before it starts leaking. So you start now, you can find yourself in a much better spot. And, you're essentially doing something today that your future self will thank you for. And maybe it'll never happen that you're in a bad position like that. But regardless, at the end of the day, once you build up enough income that you realize you don't really have to worry as much about your full-time job or your salary or whatever, I think there's a big shift that happens in your mind just from a psychological standpoint where you feel much more relaxed and there's a massive stress that's off your mind that most people never experience. So I think it's worthwhile to get yourself to that point because it can truly change your life.